something really I wanted to talk today on, from when we look at the yogic perspective of our life, and we have the two amazing terms we use quite often in yoga is the karma and dharma.
Yeah.
So the karma literally translates as everything and anything that you do. Now, in the yogic idea, I'm sure you heard about the karma.
Yes.
I believe because we say that all the time, don't we? Like
Yes.
karma,
Yes.
what goes, what comes back,
Yes.
and what you plant, so sad should you reap. But in our yogic idea, the karma has a little bit more subtler meaning. It's not only what you do physically, but also what goes in your mind, and what do you think, what you feel, and also what you speak. So all that is part of the karma. So the karma is not only I'm just swinging my hand around and you say,
it's
oh,
not just your actions. Yeah, it's not just the action.
It's not just
verbal as well.
Yeah, it's not the physical action only, because the physical action is only the manifestation of what goes in our mind. So we see that the whole universe that we live in is the manifestation of our consciousness and our mind. So if we can change that mindset, if we can change that inner energy, then our outer world starts or begins to change. Now, it's not that it will physically or materially change, okay? I'm not saying that if you start thinking, oh, there is no house and I'm just living under the stars and sun will come out in a minute. I'm not talking about that material realization. I'm talking about more of, you see, the world we live in, or how we experience it, it's still in our hand, it's still in our power. So let's say you're looking at a plant, okay? Now that plant is there, and it is a plant, isn't it? But our experience, the perception of it, can be, each and everyone can be different. If you're looking at a red flower and you love the color red, you'll be like so blissful, like I'm so glad to see it. If you hate the red color and you see the red rose or the flower, it's beautiful, it doesn't matter how pretty it is, you'll be like how terrible it is. If someone brings you a flower and if the person got the wrong color, how annoyed we feel about it?
Yes.
Like, how can you not know that this is not the one I like? Oh, it's still a flower, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what, once our inner mind is caught up in something, once it's sort of created its own story of liking, disliking, good, bad, positive, negative, then our experience of anything that is in front of us is basically filtered through it. Now in yoga we use the example, think of a bottle of water. You fill the water inside it, well, water doesn't have color, does it?
No.
Unless you want to call it watercolor. But if you put the water in an orange bottle, green bottle, blue bottle, pink bottle, and you're looking at the water, it looks like there is a pink water in the bottle. So our experience is like the pink water, yellow water, orange water, and most of the time we don't even experience the water exactly the way it is.
Yeah, it's your perception of it.
It's your perception.
Yeah.
So what yoga says, if you can bring yourself to your own inner calmness, those colors disappear. So when you are really sort of connected with yourself, then your judgment, your understanding, or your realization of things is much more purer or much more higher or superior. And I'm sure, in your sort of the service you do, when you are in a really good space and, you're doing so hard, you're working so hard, you can see that even the way people react or do things maybe not appropriate or not the way it should be, but you can still process it and convince yourself, your mind, that, well, they are doing it because that's how they know it. Their ability, their mind, is so limited. But when you caught up into the pain or the negative mindset or anger or upset about something, in that state, even if somebody says something really nice to us, how we take it? So, for me, if I'm really in a good mood and I'm walking off in something and then somebody from behind says, hey, that's a bit stupid to do, you are going to fall off the cliff. I'll look back and I'll look down and like, oh, you are right, I was just about to fall. Thank you very much. Even though the guy actually, the person who was talking to me called me stupid. But somehow, because I'm in a right mindset, I'm seeing what the person is trying to do to me. And when I'm annoyed with something or irritated about something, and I'm walking on the street and someone say, oh, I love your hair. I can tell you my reaction to that, even the compliment in 80% time will be something, what do you want? Or I would like to rest and find a mirror somewhere and look at my hair. What is going on? What this person want? What is wrong with you? Why did you say it? So the yoga says if you can bring yourself to your own inner peace, and this is what earlier to me that's something really, my today's message from the morning to now is really all about that self-love, self-appreciation or self-acceptance, that you accept yourself the way you are or who you are, and express that gratitude for yourself. And then somehow, the modern way we live or the way our society works, we sort of really conditioned into being labeled or being appreciated by somebody else. And if someone doesn't tell you how great you are or how great I am, we tend to feel like confused or be like, what is wrong with something, or why people are not saying it? Because that's how we have been trained. For me, I remember in school, if your teacher is giving you something and you don't say thank you, you don't say that was amazing or how truly blissful it is, there is offense in it. But the problem we got now, where we are really, and especially with sort of people you guys really deal with, well, they don't really have that understanding.
No, they don't.
And it's not their fault. We need to really understand it's not their fault. It's
the programming, isn't it?
It's
society programming.
Yeah, it's their programming. So then we have to retrain ourselves or recondition ourselves that what I do is out of love, and maybe I don't need to expect anything, because truly in yoga, when we talk about the karma, everything that we're doing, everything that we're participating, the concept is doing our best and leaving the rest, which is niskama karma. So I do what I need to be done, but I don't desire, or I'm not caught up in the fruit of it. Which I know in the beginning you might think, well, if I'm not really looking for fruit, why would I do it? Because even for us, love is also fruit, isn't it?
Yes.
I care for somebody I love. For me, having you both here, it's just a nice way to appreciate that. So even though maybe there might be no other fruit, but the fruit of care, the fruit of our social sort of interaction, smile, the meeting, sort of having that energy exchange itself is a big fruit. But when we expect the fruit, now why are we talking about like not expecting the fruit from what we do? The thing here in yoga, we understand that when you expect the fruit, or you have the two options. So choice one, you will get what you expecting, isn't it? Or the choice number two, you don't get what you expect, or what you're desiring, or what you're craving, or what you hoping to get from it. Now it said if you get it, the problem is that because it's a material fruit or material benefit, it does not last for too long. It's temporary. So that creates a bit of uncertainty, that creates a bit of fear, or if it's too big, it creates a big ego. I have met with some people, they begin, and some are like even back from my own university where we were growing up together and went to college, and then a couple of them, come from such like a very struggling family where you have to work hard every day to meet your bread and butter every day, and then somehow they got their life transformed, and there's one of the good friend used to be with me. He made such an amazing success. But honestly, that success got such a huge ego with it. And now, even like, we grew up together. For me to go and see him, I would have to make an appointment, and he will, like, sort of the way his language and everything is sort of like, look at me, look at my car, look at my house, and it's just like,
It's changed him.
it's changed.
Mm.
And that's also painful.
Mm.
To me, if anything, see, that takes you away from your reality, and our reality is people we love, people we live with.
Mhm.
So to me, if anything, create a distance between me and the people I love, or people who I care for, or people who care for me. Well, it doesn't matter what wealth I got, deep down, it's actually not
It's a
real.
burden.
It's a burden.
Mm.
So that's the problem. If we are getting something with that kind of expectation, it is causing that distance, and that becomes painful. Now, the other option really is if we don't get it, which seems to be, more often than the less. Seems to be, in life seems to be, more than half of the time we don't get what we expect. The reason can be, I guess, maybe we expect too much, or we dream too much, or we create our sort of like, I don't know what you call it, sort of our own self, like, oh, I'm that great, and whatever I do is so much more important in the universe, I should be getting so much. So I personally think the universe, or the divine, or whatever you believe in, is just so amazingly perfect. It really brings everything out to us in the best possible way to teach us the lessons that we need to learn. It really makes us who truly we are. And to make us who we are, potentially, the universe has to create the ideal situation for that learning. Now, when I say ideal situation, please don't, I don't mean ideal situation means, oh, my life is so blissful, I don't have any problem, and everything is, actually, everything is perfect the way it has been organized for you, me, and everyone. Because that's what makes you truly who you are. It's just worth to step back sometimes from your, all the challenges that you might go through every day, and then see what would you have become if that has been taken away from you. So the lessons you have learned from it, and this is where this appreciation, this gratitude, that love that comes, and this is, I believe, why in yogic sort of tradition, we put the services you guys do in a very higher up place. This is like a very respected place to be, where you are doing that selfless service. Because it gives you the highest potential to learn about yourself and learn about other people. To me, if you can keep your head down, keep yourself calm, and keep doing what you do in that situation, you are so much more highly evolved, consciously and mentally, than compared to people who are sitting on top of the mountain and meditating. Oh, it's easy. And that's something I can share from my own experience. Well, before I got married, I used to be living on top of the mountains as a monk.
Mhm.
Once I can sit in meditation all day, life is such a bliss. But that bliss, I realized once I got married and had
You don't
kids.
develop in bliss.
Hmm?
You don't develop in bliss.
It was a fantasy, it was unreal bliss. The real bliss is really when you come out into the full potential of life. And full potential of life is the situation that the universe has given us, where everything you learn, I can tell you, like, just breathe in and then breathe out. If I was doing that on top of the mountain, in one breath, I'm just like, oh, life is so blissful. But actually, once I'm where I'm now, I have to do 9 of them to cleanse, or to let go of any stress, any sort of tension that I might be going through at that moment. So to me, it's a real testing of the practice, real testing of our abilities, our skills, and we learn so much more. So we're talking about, so if I don't get, then what happens? Either I feel judged, I feel angry, I feel upset, I feel frustrated, I feel jealous because I did not get it, but someone else got it. I don't have this, I don't have that. So in both ways, either we get it or don't get it, because our expectation is caught up around the fruit, the result, which is always temporary. Now, my example I always like to use is, think of, you work hard all month, you get paid, that's the material fruit. Now, if you are caught up that I work for money, now honestly, if you are lucky and you manage to sign into your account before, I don't know, 10th or 15th or 20th, whatever dates you have created your direct debits, you get to see it. If you missed that week because you were so busy that you could not go on your iPad or your computer to check what money do I have in my account, it's not there, is it? It's just a fantasy, it's illusion. But if you look at what we call the service side of it, when we're looking at how what I do benefit somebody else. So to me, if you're looking at somebody and you sharing a smile with them, if you're expecting them to smile back or you're doing it for a fruit, it doesn't really bring joy to you. But if you're just smiling because you want to bring smile on somebody else's face, and when you get to see that smile, that feeling in your heart, I can tell you that's eternally going to be there. So it says, if you are caught up in material fruit, because it's temporary, it's not lasting forever, it doesn't bring the true joy. So that money that came in your account is gone before you even know. Unless you really mint it, okay? then maybe you're accumulating it every day. But for me, I'm talking from my own situation. But if I work for, or my service, my heart is focused on how do I benefit other people or how I can help somebody. So in that way, even if you get one compliment a month or a week or maybe a year, you see that nice thing when you hear from people, no one can ever steal that from you. That joy, that bliss is going to be there. And this is why we say, if you say, give somebody a nice compliment, that is more eternal gift than giving somebody gold. Because that compliment is going to be there. So to me, every morning you wake up, if you just wake up before you leave your bed, I would say, just give yourself another minute and breathe deep and say, I'm glad that I have this life. This is self-approval. And I'm enjoying doing what I do because of the sake of my love and my heart that like to help these people who would not survive otherwise. And you know that. This is the truth. They would not have any chance. But you see, from their perspective, they actually, to me, from the universe perspective, they have given you all that perfect opportunity, even for me, to meet with you guys, if you would not have them in your life. So even for me, I'm very grateful for them to, last couple of months we're running these retreats. Actually, those people has given me time to sit back, meditate, think, reflect on not only them, but also people who are looking after them, their mental, their physical, their life, their health and well-being. So they're actually creating that ideal opportunity for other people to learn the lessons or to grow, to evolve. And in many ways, really, it's us who are judging people who is sort of full to the potential and who is not full to the potential, because from a universal perspective, every life is perfect in its own way, because that life has a lesson to learn. So to me, if we let go of our own individual barriers and individual blocks or however we really judge people, everyone is perfect. Because that's the life they need to live, and that's the life we need to go through. So the minute you move from the material fruit, which is temporary, into what I call humanitarian or humanistic fruit, which is love, care, service, and seeing that fruit, you have moved away from the pain, suffering into the abundance or the bliss. Because your bliss is not only in you, it's actually in all connectedness. And I'm sure you experience that so often, once you fed the people you care for. And if they sit down and eat and then go to bed, how deeply contented it is. To me, if you have the two choices, someone say, okay, there is a big bundle of money and there is a big day that you can have where the people you care for, they can eat and they can just sit down and relax and have a good sleep. Which one will bring a true bliss or the joy in life? Isn't it? And that's so the yoga is really more about the perspective than the fruit. And why he says, whatever you do in life, remember, you're going to get the fruit anyway. You are going to get the fruit anyway. And it does also say that if someone is taking your work for granted, you have the right to stand up and don't let anybody steal anything from you. So if someone is not paying the money for your work, you have every right to hold a big stick in your hand and ask for it. And there is nothing wrong in it. But if you caught up in the fruit, that's the problem is not in actually that I should not be receiving the fruit of my action. Yes, you should receive them with the grace, with the gratitude, with the love, but you should not be obsessed with it. Hope they're making some sense. So we talk about attitude, not actually that I'm saying that, oh, you should not be taking the fruit of your work, just do the work and then leave it there. No, you should take the fruit, but your mind, your heart need to be focused on the greater good of whatever you do.